everyone, welcome back to the No Buy Seat. In fact, you wouldn't know from what is behind me that this room looks entirely different now compared to the last time you saw it. It is so different, the vibe has completely changed, and at some point I must show you what it now looks like. In fact, most of my house looks entirely different, so at some point I will have to show you around because big changes have been happening. But we're back here. It's been 3 months since I filmed my setting of the rules no buy low buy video in April, so I thought now would be a good time to review it. Now, before I jump in, if you can hear any wind or traffic or just general background noise, the back door is open. I've closed this one to try and minimize it, but the back door is open because I've been painting it, and it is an incredibly windy day today. We've had wind warnings, it's that windy, and I decided that'd be a great day to 1, paint the back door, and then 2, film a video. You'll also have to excuse the fact that I'm still a bit blue from the process. So that's all you need to know, background information. Let's jump in to our no buy update. Hopefully I've centered myself pretty well in the frame because I'm going to put the rules back on the screen and I have to remember which side is which. So if I remember correctly, this side, this is going to be embarrassing if this is completely wrong. This side is the yellow side, so this is the low buy side. And that means that I am not 100% restricted spending in this area, but we're tightening the screws, we're being cautious, we're thinking about the purchases we make, but we have got a little bit of flexibility here. And this side, hopefully, should be the red side, and this is the no buy side. So low buy, no buy. We should not be making purchases in this area. Any purchases we do make, we can basically consider slip-ups and rule breaks. Additionally to these here on the red side in the, I really hope I'm getting that the right way around, in the no buy section, there was something I didn't mention last time when I filmed my original rules that I just wanted to add in here because I think it is an important one. And that is on my no buy list. I want to add spending money on any services. Now for me in particular, that would be things like a window cleaner because that is something I used to have, and taking my car to be washed. And then things that I don't have personally and never have but might also fall into this would be things like house cleaners, gardeners, things like that. Anything where you pay for a service for something to be done for you, I guess. My mindset on this right now is if I can do it myself, I probably should be, and so I'm not going to be paying someone else to do it. So that's something I've not been paying for and I've been making sure to do myself. One more thing worth mentioning, and I think I've mentioned it in a video before, is the way I've been trying to fund my spending. I wouldn't call it non-essential spending because there is some essential spending that I do out of my main income, but sort of fun spending, treat money, experiences, days out, going out for meals, shopping, those sorts of things. I'm trying to fund them solely through my side hustles. So whether that's earnings from YouTube, selling my old clothes on Vinted, and more recently I've been doing exam marking because the exam season has been upon us. The schools have now finished for the school year and I have been marking exams. I marked over 13,000 questions, which is why I've been quite busy and not making videos as regularly as I probably should have. But it was just another side hustle, another way for me to earn a bit of money. And I was very aware that I've got a couple of experiences or trips coming up over the summer because I've got a bit of time off work that I wanted to fund essentially without having to use my main income. I really like to make sure that main income is tied to paying my bills and making sure all of my savings that I want to make are in place. And now I'm a sole income person, I'm doing it all on my own, I have to be a lot more careful. However, if those side hustles generally do well, that gives me a bit of freedom to spend a bit of money and enjoy myself, and if I don't spend it all, I can also save it. However, my side hustles aren't big earners, they're just little bits that earn treat money for me. So bear in mind when I go through some of the things where I have spent money, some of those will be from main income depending on what they are, and I'll explain as I go, and some of them will be from the money I've earned from side hustles. Right then, so I've been through everything. I've been through all of my accounts, all my statements, looked at receipts, and I think I found everything I've spent over the last 3 months. Now, if we start on the yellow side, and hopefully I get this list down in order, but I've not actually got it in front of me right now, so I'll do my best from the notes I've made. So the first thing is practical household items. So that's things like essential furniture and appliances, non-decorative items. I have been really fortunate that I just so happen to have my birthday in June. As many of you know, if you've been watching my channel since I've relaunched it, I have come out of a long-term relationship. I am now living alone. And because a lot of what was in my house previously was joint purchases, I had a lot of my stuff disappear. It was taken out of my house in an agreed circumstance, I might add, but it meant I had to replace a lot of stuff. The majority of the furniture went. I kept bedroom furniture, my desk, and like my dressing table. There was very little else that I kept. So I was very lucky that I had my birthday, so things like a kettle was a birthday present for me this year, and an iron, and little things like that. So there were a lot of practical purchases that were made, but I have fantastic family around me, and so many of them chipped in just to make sure I had the essentials, and they did that by each sort of buying me something for my birthday, which was fantastic. And I've also been so fortunate, I hope at some point in a video, I won't do it now because I've got a lot to get through, I sort of do give you a wander around my house, because I've got this beautiful living room and dining room furniture that belonged originally to my granddad, and that was passed down to his daughter, my auntie, and now I've got it, and it is a completely different vibe to what I've gone for before. It's very traditional, very classic, and I've sort of gone for like this classic meets modern vibe, and I think it's really working, and I'm really all for it. I love it, and I love the fact that it's been in the family and passed down. But I was just fortunate that at the time that she was thinking about letting those go and freshening up herself, that I was in desperate need for some furniture. So now I've got those in my house, and so I was really lucky that a lot of what I needed has just sort of been given to me, and I hadn't had to go out and spend lots of money. The only thing I did have to buy was a sofa, so I've got a new sofa, and my dad was actually really lovely, and he gave me the money towards that. It was some money he'd been setting aside for me anyway. He'd done the same for me and my sister, and he thought, you know, now's probably a really good time that Charlotte gets her hands on this money, and it was just enough to cover the cost of a sofa. Like, I'm not talking like loads and loads, it wasn't like a ridiculous amount, it was just what I needed to cover the cost, so that was great. Sun's gone in, it's gone dark again. So I am very aware of how fortunate I am that I did not have to make any big household purchases. It was all pretty much done. The few practical purchases I did have to make have been more for the upkeep of my house. So I've already mentioned that I've painted the back door today. I've also painted the front door. I've had to paint the garden fences. They really needed doing, and I painted 2 walls in the house. There's one more that needs doing, but I ran out of paint. And to do that, I've spent £46 on various paints. I already had like brushes and rollers and stuff, so I didn't need anything there. And I've also spent £50 on some storage furniture, which I needed. So that's a total of what, £96 I spent on the first yellow section, so practical purchases for the house. Then we've got clothes. I feel like I overspent on clothes, but I think it's because I really went for quality. So if you've watched my more recent capsule wardrobe video, I talked about how I'm trying to find my aesthetic, something that's working for me. But one of the things I'm really leaning to is better quality. And of course, when you go for better quality, generally, not always, but generally, you end up paying a little bit more. So the fact that I've bought very few items but ended up spending a lot more money has been very noticeable to me. So I bought 2 shirts. I'm wearing one of them. This is a blue one. I got the same one in like, it's not quite a cream, it's like an off-white, lovely thick material, but the inspiration behind this one, I don't know if you'll remember, if you've been around for a very long time watching my channel, you might, but I used to have sort of a long blue shirt, basically the same colour as this, but it was from Primark, and it was always scruffy, it was always creased, it was this really thin material, but the colour really suited me. And everyone always used to say, Charlotte, don't declutter it, and it was on the decluttering pile time and time again because of how scruffy it was. But I just held on to it because I knew the colour suited me. I think I'm like a cool summer tone, shade, season person. And this colour apparently works very well for me, as so I've been told. And I saw this shirt and it's such nice quality. I had to buy it, and then because I liked it so much, I went back and got the other one in like the off-white colour. And these have been perfect for me for work. I've worn both of them every single week since I've bought them because I love them so much. They were in the sale, they were both half price, so I got them both for £95.20. But when I think you've gone from buying sort of high street brands in the past and you're not used to spending that sort of money on a shirt, I don't feel like I would have paid full price for them. If I'd have seen them at £90, whatever it was each, I would have probably been a lot more reluctant. I think it's because it was in the sale, I thought, you know what, they're really nice, they're good quality, I'll buy them and that'll have me 2 outfits set up every single week for work. That was, I felt, a very practical purchase, and I finally feel like I'm moving into an aesthetic that I'm happy with. But the next purchase, which was an entire outfit I might add, might not have been the most practical or the most necessary. It felt necessary, but I think if someone else looked in my wardrobe, they would probably have disagreed. So I went to the races, but for a formal, I don't know if it is like a ladies' day. I don't actually know what it was. We went for afternoon tea whilst we were there in the marquee, and it was absolutely lovely. And it was a complete treat for me. I went with a friend and they actually paid for me to be there, which was really, really lovely. So I felt like I needed to dress up, and I didn't feel like I had anything to suit the occasion. As I said, if someone else looked in my wardrobe, they'd probably argue that there was something, but I tried on everything in my wardrobe and I didn't feel comfortable that it was meeting the dress code, and I didn't want to feel uncomfortable all day. So I bought a dress. I also bought shoes and a bag to go with, but I bought the accessories all in very neutral colours, so I feel like you'd be able to wear them elsewhere. And I also bought a hairband fascinator all to tie it together. And if you've seen my Instagram, you've probably seen this outfit already. In fact, I forgot to mention when I was talking about side hustles, and I mentioned it in my last video, on my Instagram I've been posting my earnings from my side hustles behind like random photos of what I've been up to, just to sort of put that content out there. And so if that's something you're interested in, then by all means go and follow me over on Instagram. But as I was saying, so the accessories I got to go with it, I feel like were very neutral and definitely something you can wear again. And I went for, I would like to say, better quality pieces than what I would necessarily have gone for in the past. So hopefully they'll stand the test of time. I did even borrow 2 dresses from a friend, so I had all good intentions that I would get this outfit sorted without spending any money, but she's built so differently to me, despite the fact that we're the same size. So the sort of things that flatter her do not flatter me at all, and I just didn't feel confident, and I just wanted to have this day where I felt amazing, and so I did it. I bought my outfit, but I felt fantastic. I felt full of confidence. At no point did I feel out of place, underdressed, overdressed. I felt like I'd pitched it perfectly, and I had an absolutely fantastic day. It was incredible. Honestly, one of the best days I've had in a very long time. So all in all, I'm not sad, but when I read you the number, so this whole outfit, again, given that it was quality pieces, and again, every single thing except the hairband fascinator was actually in the sale. I've been timing the summer sales very well, but the entire outfit altogether cost me $184.99. So it wasn't cheap, but again, I imagine people would go out and spend $300, $400, $500 on an outfit, so I probably did quite well. I think it's just because I'm coming from such a place where I've restricted my spending so much for 3 years now, it's felt kind of like, that's a lot to spend on one outfit. I did make 2 other clothing purchases, but I ended up returning them because the guilt got the better of me and I wasn't 100% happy with them, and I feel like at this point in time, if I'm not 100% happy, I should not be wasting my money. And I genuinely thought I was when I tried them on in the shop. I thought, yep, this is great. I can think of different ways I can style this, but it wasn't meant to be. So I ended up returning those. Right then, let's continue. What have I got on the next page? So I believe, if I remember correctly, I've got rings next, but this might be in the wrong order. I've got rings and then I've got jewellery over there on the no buy side. And I absolutely smashed this because as I promised myself, oh, you're gonna have to see my blue hands. As I promised myself, I got myself some new rings. So I got 2 for each hand, so 4 rings, and that cost me £165 to do that. I partially spent some of my birthday money on these, so this wasn't all from my own spending. It was some of my own spending, call it my birthday present to myself. And that was that, but I haven't bought any other jewellery, so I don't need to touch on that when I get to the red side. So it was just the rings, and that was sorted. It was also very nice because I did actually get this necklace for my birthday and some matching earrings, which I've forgotten to put in, but because of that I felt all jewellried out. I didn't need anything else. Then I believe we've got makeup and beauty. I do at this point really need to replace, I think, about 3 makeup items and 1 beauty item. So I'm very aware that there's about to be a spend. So that will, I guess, impact the next 3 months when we go to look back over that. But I haven't bought any makeup, and I have had a repeat. I have a skincare subscription now, which is actually doing quite well. If you'd have seen the atrocity that was my skin when I came off the pill, and almost for like a year after, it's been 2 years now, you would understand. But I've been using a skincare subscription that is a prescription based one, and that's been for 6 or 7 months now, and it really is working. I'm not saying my skin is absolutely perfect. I don't think it will ever be. My skin is so dramatic. But that cost me £24.99 a month, so over the last 3 months, that is £74.97 I've spent on my skincare. Hopefully next is hair, but if not, it's on the list somewhere. I have been for a hair appointment just to have a trim, because I think my hair just gave up on me. After my last set of highlights, which I think was just before I filmed the No Buy Rules video, so in April, my hair just gave up. I don't know if it was 3 years of constant having my highlights done. Every sort of 14 to 20 weeks I was having those done. If it's all the heat, styling, I don't know. But my hair just gave up. I also had a different stylist do my highlights the last time. My regular stylist went on maternity leave, and it was just one time I had someone else do it. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it was just breaking. It was just breaking, snapping, it was all coming out. I hadn't changed anything else. I hadn't changed my shampoo or my conditioner or anything, and it just gave up, and it looked awful, just scraggly all down here. So I went in, I just said, I just need you to take the ends off, just blunt it off again. I had the root smudge done last time with the aim of starting to let it grow out anyway. I've just accepted the fact that I cannot have my highlights done again, at least until it's all grown out, which is a shame because I do like the colour. And my natural colour is a bit darker. It's like a very dark blonde. It does lighten up a bit when the sun hits it once it's fully grown back out, but as you can see, it's quite dark. So I had to have that just chopped off, and I'm just going to go back regularly, have it chopped off, because it's been 2 weeks since I had this done, and it's already like splitting and breaking again where the highlights still are. Like, it's not as noticeable, but it's only been 2 weeks and I can tell the difference. So until just all the highlights are grown out. So I did have that appointment. That was £22, and that's why, you know, it's in the yellow side. I said I wasn't going to get my highlights done. I now know I can't if I want to keep any sort of hair, but I will need to have it sort of every now and then just tidied up as it keeps breaking until we've got this dealt with. So that was that. I've then got Hobbies on this side as my next one, of which I spent £0, so that was good. I've just not had the time. There's been so much going on with sorting everything out with the house, and then with the exam marking, and then when I've got a bit of free time, honestly, I'm getting out and about and enjoying myself, going on little day trips and whatnot, so I've not had time for anything like that. Gifts, I have spent £124.58, which again as a number feels quite high, but when I think about how many birthdays my parents had, their anniversary, we've had Father's Day, there's been quite a few things in the last 3 months, I think that's pretty reasonable. Which should just leave us with experiences and trips on the bottom here, which I've included in this any sort of food and drink. I feel like the people I go out with, like my friends when I go on day trips or overnight stays, are really good in the way we sort of like pay for things and split the money. It's like, you paid for us to go here, I'll pay for us to get dinner, and we just kind of like balance it out that way. I have spent in total £287.84 on sort of day trips and going to places. Now, I feel like I've been to quite a few places. I've done a day trip to Cambridge, a day trip to Lincoln, Winchester, Southampton, Portsmouth, and then recently when I went to the races, I just did Chelmsford and Colchester. So I've been to quite a few places. There's been a couple of places where I've stayed overnight, but because I know people there, I've stayed with friends, so I've not paid for any hotels or overnight stays. In that £287.84 though, £40.87 of it was spent on parking, just general places parking. The only thing I couldn't calculate was petrol, and that is because I could, if I really wanted to sit down, work out the mileage and the miles per gallon and all of that of my car, like working out where things like going to work, going to the gym, going grocery shopping, things like that, where that ends and the driving on trips begins. Obviously, there's a lot more money spent on petrol when I'm driving long distances to go to places than just when I'm going to work. But you know, I'm going to work and back in the gym and back practically every day. That in a week probably adds up to the same as a long drive at the weekend. So I didn't calculate the petrol for this, but there is a significant cost towards petrol for that. Right, so on the red side, so you would hope that everything here was a 0, but that wasn't quite the case. I don't think it's too bad though. I don't think I've done terribly. The first one is the worst, so that was decorative household items. I just don't think I anticipated that I would, after I've got the bare essentials into my space, I would want to jazz it up a little bit. So for the most part, I was able to use things I already had, things that I'd managed to keep, but there were a few things I needed. So I bought a new clock for my kitchen, which was completely unnecessary because I had a perfectly functioning clock in the kitchen. But after I painted the wall, it really didn't go. It didn't match the aesthetic. And so I treated myself to a new clock. I bought 2 decorative trays that have ended up one in the living room and one on the kitchen table. But then the items I've put into those to decorate further were just items I already had or had been gifted to me. For example, on the one in the living room, there's a little macrame mat underneath a candle, which one of my friends at work made for me. And on the one in the kitchen, I've put an orchid on it, which I basically stole from my mum. She was getting rid of it. I was like, I'll have it, she doesn't like orchids. I love an orchid. So now that's on my table. And then I bought some ice cream glasses. That's not necessary, but I really wanted them. So all in all, I spent £54.96 on decorative items. So definitely a rule break there. Honestly, I don't feel that bad about it, to be honest. Right, then we should have, over on this side, gym clothes, accessories, anything related to gym attire. We're doing well, 0. In fact, I feel like I should be on a bonus here because I sold 2 of my gym outfits on Vinted. So actually that one swung the other way. I've made money. Books, 0. Other beauty, 0. Art supplies, 0. Stationery, 0. Media, £30. I bought an Amazon Fire Stick because I did not keep the big 4K HD Super TV that we had. I kept the old one, which is not anything ready at all, but I very rarely watch TV, to the point that in the time I have been here alone in my house, I've not switched that on other than to plug in the Fire Stick to make sure it worked. But I wanted to have the availability to watch Netflix because that's my only sort of TV media anything subscription. Like I don't have anything else. I don't have any music subscriptions or anything like that, but I do have Netflix, and I wanted a way to be able to watch it if I actually got the chance to have a nice quiet evening at home. So I bought an Amazon Fire Stick and set that up. I bought the cheapest one you can possibly get because I literally just wanted it for Netflix, and plugged that into my TV. So media, £30. Food on the go, I have had a few slip-ups. So I'm totally blaming a colleague of mine for this. No, I'm not really. It's totally my fault. But a colleague of mine, we now share an office, so we are very much like in each other's space all day long, chatting all day long, and every now and then they go, do you want to go down the shop and get some food? And I take lunch to work with me every single day. But there have been 4 occasions, 4 whole occasions in the last 3 months where I've gone, yeah, I do. And it's never for like a lot. Most of the times it's been for a Magnum. They do the Magnum white chocolate and cookies, I think it is. And I absolutely love them. So I've had, I think I must have had those each time, and then one of the times I bought something else as well. Yes, looking at that it is. And I can't remember what the other thing was. I mean, let's be fair, it was probably chocolate or cake or something that I shouldn't have had. But otherwise, I feel like my snacking has been very, very good. I've been very on it and not like slipping things into my grocery shop that I couldn't have. I've got into a weird mindset with my grocery shop now. I'm just buying for one. It's like I'm doing my absolute best to keep that cost as low as possible, but almost to the point where I'm setting it as a challenge. Like if I do my grocery shop for me for the whole week and it's like 20 to 25 pounds because I'm like using stuff up in my cupboard, I'm like, this is winning. That just, it means I don't slip naughty things in because I'm trying to keep it low. So there were those 4 times of popping to the shop, and then there was one time on a trip back. Bit of a weird story. So when I was coming back from Essex, when I'd been to the races, I stayed there at a friend's house for 3 days, and on the last day I was starting to get unwell. Wasn't pleasant. I don't know if at some point whilst I was there I ate something that disagreed with me. I don't know if it was the heat that set me off, or I had literally just finished work and my stress and anxiety was quite high. I don't know if it all just came together and poof, but I got an upset stomach. It was not fun. And so I hadn't eaten for that entire last day I was there because I was so worried that something would make me feel sick, but I'm not good with that at all. But by the time I was getting home, I'd done the drive home and I hadn't eaten anything. I was feeling really exhausted and really weak, so I stopped in Subway and got a sub on the way back. So I also had that. That was a cheeky, like, food on the go, not a pre-planned food, not going out for a meal, so that was a bit of a cheat as well. But all of that all together came to £17.86, which is more than it should have been, but I can live with it. It's not awful. As I keep saying, we're not perfect. There are so many areas that I got zeros in, which is really good. And so, yeah, that's that. Other expenses that I noticed just when I was going through my accounts, obviously there's been a lot of petrol. All of my bills have gone out. I have things like contact lenses, phone insurance, as well as all your standard bills. I also had to have an emergency dentist appointment because I got an abscess in a wisdom tooth. Let me tell you, that was not fun. That really hurt. And I was away at the time, and I was down in Southampton staying with a friend when it happened, when it started. And this was a Friday night, knowing full well I wouldn't be home until Sunday night, back to work on the Monday. And even then, there are no dentists open that I'm aware of over the weekend, so I just had to suffer through it the whole time I was down there. And then I was able to get an appointment first thing for the Tuesday morning. So I had to pay for the appointment and pay for the prescription to clear it up. My bunnies have also had their vaccinations just last week at the vets. That was another £144 to get them both done. But you know, those are all just fees that come up every now and then. I know in August my annual gym membership rolls around, so that's another thing I'll have coming up. And then also upcoming 2 big sort of expenses that I know are coming up is I've booked a spa day, so that's not going to be cheap, and I've also booked a 3-day trip to London. I've technically already paid for my theatre tickets, but I will roll that over and include that in the next 3 months because I'm not going until, I think it's the 1st of August or the 2nd of August or something. And so that'll be included in that one, and then everything else is like pay when you get there, like the hotels pay when you get there, obviously when you eat you pay when you get there, and things like that. So honestly, I don't think this is awful. Some of my numbers are bigger than I think they could be, but I feel like every purchase I've made, I've got the most out of. I'm really enjoying. As I said, I returned things that I wasn't completely happy with, and I'm okay with it. I'm managing, and I think it's because I'm using the money from side hustles and not from my main income, because if I was just relying on my main income, I would barely have any treat money at all, because I've always said my priority is paying my bills and then ensuring I'm doing some savings. And I don't want to not have my savings building up at the expense of, you know, driving around the country or buying a few clothes here and there. I would rather have my savings, so it is really important that I have all those things in the right order. But I believe that's everything for the first 3 months. I do apologise that I've been very quiet. I know I did say when I started my channel that I would sort of post as and when I could, and I wasn't going to put any unnecessary pressure on myself, especially after sort of like the last year and a bit that I've had. It's not been an easy one, and I wanted this to definitely be something that I enjoyed, so I don't want to just put random videos out there for the sake of it. I'll come back and make a video when I'm in a good place, I feel ready, I've got something I want to share, want to talk about, and I'm actually enthusiastic about it. So that's where we're at. I will wrap this one up because, as always, it's about 4 days long. There's going to be a lot of cutting and editing I have to do. If you enjoyed the video, as always, do remember to give it a thumbs up. Things like that just really support my channel and help push it out to a wider audience. So like-minded people who are trying to be sensible with their money, who are interested in, you know, earning their money, saving their money, and spending their money in ways that actually bring us joy and don't feel wasteful, and you don't end up with that guilt and regret afterwards. I'm really big on that at the minute. I'm big on saving money. I'm big on not having those pointless purchases, but I am also big on enjoying your money in ways that do genuinely bring you joy and happiness. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. You can do so by clicking this picture just here. And I will leave another video just here that I think you might enjoy, so feel free to stick around and check out another one. And that is all from me for this video, and I will see you very soon in another one. Until then, take care. Bye.